Ravioli.
Monkeys, hide-and-go-seek, and 12-year-old anime protagonists. What do these three things have in common? Absolutely nothing. But they do somehow make a very entertaining and goofy video game. Somehow this bizarre mix of children's games, anime tropes, and distant human relatives makes for an unforgettable and extremely fun experience. It almost feels like an idea Nintendo would have scrapped, leaving Sony Computer Entertainment America to pick up the slack and create the hidden gem that is Ape Escape. The entire premise of the game is to go out and capture monkeys that are broadcasting television shows so stupid that they are turning humans into couch potatoes. So you pick between Yumi, a grade school pop star whose hit single could very well be the worst song I've ever heard,
to kill myself.
or Kay, a grade schooler who just likes baseball.
I like
Baseball.
all right.
Once you've picked a character, you set off into the first stage and catch some monkeys.
You bet. Talk more.
Good job.
Ape Escape makes great use out of the dual control analog sticks that PS2 introduced. You use the left stick to move around as you would in any game, but the right stick, instead of controlling the camera like most games out there, it actually controls the direction in which you swing your monkey net. This gives you a lot more control of where you're actually swinging, making it easier to nab the monkeys. The right stick is used for pretty much all your weapons and tools throughout the game. You can drive this little RC car to push buttons or scare monkeys out of hiding, or spin the stick to activate a helicopter blade so you can clear larger gaps, or it can be used simply to swing your baton to stun and potentially knock out monkeys for easy catching. I think it's a pretty neat control scheme, and as far as I know, it's unique to the Ape Escape series. And without it, I don't think Ape Escape would be as fun as it actually is. It does cause some minor problems having the entire right stick dedicated to item use. Like, I kept hitting the stick to try and move the camera out of habit from playing other games, only to accidentally swing my net instead. The camera mostly does its own thing, and it works pretty well overall. And you can also use the L1 button to swing the camera back in the direction your character is facing to get your bearings. Aside from one other major mechanic, which we'll talk about in a second, that's really all there is to it. You run around, catch monkeys, complete the stage, and move on to the next. Catching monkeys feels great too. They did an awesome job of making the monkeys feel like living banana peels dodging your swings and giving you a hard time when you're trying to catch them. Of course, some monkeys are harder to catch than others. They all wear little shorts and the color represents their difficulty. Light blue pants are usually more scared and timid, and black pants are usually way more aggressive and have guns. Yeah, someone gave the monkeys guns. Catching the monkeys is actually quite challenging, sometimes taking 3 or 4 or more swings of the net to actually catch them. And the animation and effects that play when catching the monkeys feels really cool and really anime. As a kid, I would always try and catch the monkeys while jumping because it felt so cool. Introduced into Ape Escape 3 was the Morph Gear, an item that allowed Kay or Yumi to transform into various different costumes, like the Fantasy Knight or the Wild West Kid, or my favorite, the Miracle Ninja. These could be used to traverse certain obstacles and stages, or fight off the little robot minion dudes that work alongside the monkeys, and they can be used to make it easier to catch the monkeys as well. A lot of the morphs have long-range nets that can be shot out, or nets that can catch in a wide radius around the player. They're super fun to use, and they have a lot of variety to them. Also, you can make the monkeys dance, and it's adorable. Just like the Morph Gear's themed costumes, each and every stage is themed as well, with a ton of nods to pop culture, like this entire level called AP Jones, or this monkey named Uki-chan in the martial arts themed stage. It even shows you a little cutscene of it falling through these awnings, which is a reference to a famous Jackie Chan stunt from the movie Jackie Chan's Project A. Also, this monkey is just straight up the Terminator. There's even Star Wars references and a Darth Vader monkey, and a Titanic that you can sink that will get you closer to the Jack and Rose monkeys, along with a ton of other references. This game is just oozing with charm. Monkeys all have names and goofy little quotes that you can read when you zoom in on them with the monkey radar, and all the levels are designed to a T, with some of my favorites being the TV station levels, which house a bunch of different mini sets that you can explore and nab monkeys in. It's a ton of fun just exploring around, and you'll never know what's going to pop up next. Ape Escape is just as weird as it is charming. As you play through the game, you'll learn that an ultra-intelligent monkey named Spectre is using his mind control helmets to control all of the other monkeys so he can eventually take over the world, and alongside him is Dr. Tomoki.
IQ of 1300, and they call me Dr. Tomoki. And don't you forget it.
What do you think you're doing? Just introduce yourself normally. Normally, cut the camera.
I thought it was an exquisite introduction.
Cut.
The banter between these two villains is hilarious, as is a lot of the dialogue in the game. You also meet the Freaky Monkey 5, a group of monkeys that act as bosses throughout the game. There's Monkey White, a crazy scientist that fights you inside of Metal Gear Rex, or Monkey Red, who thinks he's this cool movie star, but he actually just farts all over the place. Or there's Monkey Yellow.
Oh my, what a cute little child you are.
Yeah, we don't talk about Monkey Yellow. You even eventually end up in outer space on Spectre's giant space hideout, which he attempts to use to karate chop the Earth in half. The entire game is just full of goofy, stupid humor you can't help but smile at. Overall, the story isn't really anything mind-blowing, but it is 100% entertaining. Also, Tomoki sacrifices himself to save Kei, Yumi, and the entirety of the planet Earth by self-destructing the space station while the kids escape.
Yumi, thank you. Goodbye. Why, if it isn't number 1182. So you've come to spend our last few minutes together? Silly little thing. Here we go.
Hey, the space station!
After playing through 20 different stages and capturing Spectre, the end credits roll and...
I hear you. Hello! I've rescued Spectre and my friends, you know.
yeah, so when you fought Monkey Pink way back when in the middle of the game, she ended up actually escaping and releasing all of her friends, leaving you to clean up the mess once again. At this point, you set off to re-catch the Freaky Monkey 5 and all the remaining monkeys in each stage. Remember when I said the ninja was my favorite morph? I lied. You can now turn into a giant monkey, leaving you completely undetectable to the primate eye. Using your banana sensing abilities, you can find and unlock a secret room in each stage. All of these rooms have 4 monkeys in them that you can catch, and after befriending them, you can then commit the ultimate betrayal, jumping out of your morph suit and catching them.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
I thought these little rooms were just such a cool little addition to the game, and it's always fun finding out what kind of monkeys are inside.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Okay, so after going through the levels again and catching all 434 monkeys and Spectre, you get the actual ending of the game. It only takes about 6 to 8 hours to complete, but Ape Escape 3 is a game that just keeps on giving. Not only does it trick you into thinking you've beat the game after the first Spectre battle, it also gives you a time attack mode that challenges you to catch an amount of monkeys under a certain time limit, and a survival mode that sets you through each stage of the game back to back until you get a game over. You can also play through each stage from the beginning just for fun. And there are a ton of collectibles as well, like cutscene tapes and soundtrack CDs, as well as little books that give you more background to the programming the monkeys have created, some behind the scenes photos that are often hilarious, and some silly mini games like this one where you pick a couple of characters and spin the right control stick to lob them down a football field, or this simple little monkey fighting game. Not sure if this one is legal or not. But the best minigame by far is Metal Gear Solid. It's an entire spoof of Metal Gear Solid where you play as Peepo Snake and set off to help the actual Solid Snake on a mission.
You sound like me.
So yeah, there's an entire Metal Gear Solid game inside my Ape Escape. Despite Ape Escape 3 being a rather short game, there's tons of extra content and collectibles, which is something I really miss from this era of video games. I always like to talk about the flaws in games that I make videos on, but honestly there isn't any glaring issues when it comes to Ape Escape. I think pretty much everything in this game is great, and there's next to nothing that I would actually change. I mean, sometimes the timing on the double jump feels a bit off, making you fall to your death slots in some of the later stages, or the lack of camera control can get a little bit iffy in some tighter spaces. But both of these are minor gripes that don't really affect you all too often. I think the only real issue I have is the robot sections. At some points, Ape Escape 3 goes full mech anime, requiring you to hop in a tank or a robot for a little platforming section. These machines control with both sticks simultaneously, requiring you to tilt and turn to make your robots move around. The controls don't work super great, and a couple times you actually have to battle in these robots, and it ends up just being a frustrating time trying to wrap your head around the controls. That's pretty much the one thing I could do without in Ape Escape 3. So since I don't really have any real issues with the game itself, instead I thought of a couple things that could be neat additions if they ever, please for the love of God, release an Ape Escape 4. So with the camera mostly being automatic, I think a simple lock-on system would be super helpful here. Something like this would make it way easier to keep an eye on the monkeys so they don't keep running out of view, and it would make it far easier to avoid enemies or attacks from monkeys. Speaking of which, as you're catching monkeys, they'll sometimes turn around and do this quick little waddle attack. It's really hard to avoid getting hit with unless you're trying to anticipate it, and I think a super fun addition would be a dodge or a sidestep of sorts that you could use to avoid monkeys' attacks. It would be a good little update to the current mechanics if they were to bring Ape Escape to next gen. I think one thing they should definitely do though is stick with the pop culture references and include some of the most influential films and shows from over the last 10 or 15 years. I would love to see an Avengers level with little monkeys dressed up as superheroes, or a stage based on Game of Thrones that recreates famous scenes in goofy G-rated monkey style. There's just so much for them to draw inspiration from, and it would be really fun to see what they end up coming up with. Anyways, Ape Escape is just a goofy and simple game that is genuinely fun to play through, and yeah, I don't really know how to end this video, so go play Ape Escape. It's dumb and monkeys are funny. Okay, bye. thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to subscribe and share this video. It helps me out a lot. Let me know what you think of Ape Escape 3, and once again, thank you for stopping by, and I will talk to you next time.